Hello, this is the Bluthner Style 4A grand piano. That's 166 centimetres long, about 5'5" long. Most of the small Bluthner grands that we get are Style 4, which is 150 centimetres long, so about 6 inches less. And it's good to get this slightly longer one, which is not so common, because it obviously has a generally better tone, just slightly better, especially the bass. We'll listen to that later on, but just want to look at the cosmetics. The pedal is not dipped at all, but you can see it's been used quite a reasonable amount. By the way, the legroom is 163 centimetres here, which is slightly higher than normal. These pedals are really not as low as you could get them. I'm just wondering whether we might, if we're going to repolish it, just take the legs down slightly, make the pedals go down a bit. Depends how much legroom you want. If you want slightly more legroom than normal, because it's about 2 centimetres more than normal, then this would be ideal. The pedals aren't too high to use, but just a comment I often make about pedals, that it's quite noisy actually, so you'll see the worksheet of the work we've got to do on it in a second. But you can see that somebody's had very long nails possibly here, and it's caused that to be damaged. We can either make the coast good, in other words as good as we can, or repolish the piano. We do delight in repolishing this style of Bluthner grand. We'll have a look at the case generally first, and I'll show you a repolished one that's in the polishing room. So generally the case, well, it's quite scratched here and there. This side is fine. The music stand, we can certainly get rid of scratches like that without having to repolish the whole piano. And let's have a look at the lid here. Well, that's not too bad either. And let's have a look at the other side here, which is, again, a bit scratched. Those can be made good, and all that dirt there, that seems like something stuck onto it before, and the scratching on here. So obviously indented scratches won't be got rid of unless we fully repolish the whole piano. And down here there's a bit of scratching too. So we can, as I say, we can make it good or repolish the whole piano. A bit of scratching on the top too. And this part here, I noticed that this end here is scratched, and someone's had to trying to colour them in. It hasn't really worked terribly well, really. Here's the back of the piano again. We can disguise that pretty well. This, when it gets darker like that, is more difficult. Here's a Style 4 in our polishing room that has been French polished, so this can certainly be done. The client bought this piano before we did it, and the colour is much lighter, as you can see, and that's the natural wood colour. In other words, without putting any stain in it at all. So once we strip it back, it ends up being lighter, so it does show better grain contrast too, we feel, and we do like doing it a light colour. So if you like that, then we can certainly do it, and we do quite a few. We just sold a Bluthner actually that someone wants repolishing, so it's quite common for us to do that. And on there you have a very nice fiddleback, or flamed mahogany as they call it, and the lid here, that's again very tasteful and certainly worth doing. Certainly adds value to the piano, and Bluthners are very valuable anyway. Put pictures on our website listing of some important things really, but the tuning pins are they're very tight, and they've been replaced rather than the rest bank being replaced, which is often done, but very good job's been done, and good stringing too. The string length is pretty even, and new dampers, as you can see, so quite a lot of work's been done on the piano. It's a bit dirty, needs cleaning up. These key tops have been replaced. They're not ivory, they've been given a sort of grain which you often get in this age of restoration, which I think is probably about 1975 or so it's been done. Difficult to be sure, but that's the kind of age, looking at the bass strings, when you want to try and tell how long ago it was. The colour of the bass strings often helps, but I'm not incredibly accurate in that sense, I don't think. This is a standard roller action you get on 98% of grands. I mention that because older Bluthners have a patent action. This is 1929. This one here is 1924 and has the patent Bluthner action with the L crates being very different to look at, as you can see. Now, as you see on the worksheet, the key weighting is far too heavy, and this is first of all lubricating the balance rail. Those we mentioned this many times before, so there we need to lubricate with dry lubricant. The hammer hinges don't need lubricating, they're quite free. Now, as you can see from the hammers, it's had a reasonable amount of use since it was restored, but very heavy action, must have been heavy to play. We're going to obviously rectify that, hopefully. You can see the wear on the hammers. They just need refacing, really. They're not so far gone they need replacing by any means, but refacing them and then voicing is what we need to do there. The rollers here, they need lubricating. That's here. They're different style on this. So you've shown some styles like this before. Bluthner did that style for a while rather than the standard roller action. They obviously need to lubricate. The jacks don't seem to be too bad, really. Dry lubricant on the rollers, and the hinges here a little bit. Some of them a little bit on the loose side. So I've also got to go check them all. We replace hammers, shanks and rollers normally, mainly because you don't have to redo the hinges then, but this is fine. They're just very slightly loose. If you move the hammer from side to side, you can just feel a very slight looseness on the hinges. Not those ones, but about 1 in 10, I think, so you're going to have to check them all. By the way, if someone's taken the serial number off the top of the piano, on say 98% of Bluthner grands, you can find the serial number there. It's a Jake Samuel restoration. They restored a lot of pianos in the 70s and generally very high quality. So there's our worksheet summary. The things that need doing. There's the weighting of the keys showing that it's really on the high side. That's extremely high, really, 65 grams. They're quite relatively heavy hammers, but once they're refaced and we also lubricate and then we reweight the action, then that'll be brought down to, as it should be, 50 rather than 65, so 50, 48 in the bass and 48 in the treble, 52 in the bass. That's what we're aiming for. The description of the piano, new strings and hammers, good warm full tone. So there's no reason why after refinement it shouldn't be as good as any piano, any Bluthner Style 4A, which is one of the very best small grand pianos. And the legroom we mentioned there, legroom is very important. Obviously, some very tall people. Recently, we had a piano that we fully restored, and a client. We were going to change the casters, but when we saw the client said, "No, I'm very tall, so don't bring the casters down to bring the pedals down, but leave it as it is." So, it just depends really on the person. You can see some of the summary of the work that we do there. So that's a Bluthner Style 4A made in 1929. 166 centimeters long, and we're always delighted to get one of these, and it's one of the best small grand pianos you can get. Now at the moment the hammers need refacing and voicing, and the whole action just feels far too heavy. Sound, and it's been restored well, so the hammers right up to the very top are clear sounding. This piano ideally, there's quite a lot of difficulty getting this. This won't be terribly difficult to get right, but there's lots of scratching, and some of it's been coloured in, and it's going to be very difficult to get right. So obviously it's such a well-made piano. It's certainly worth repolishing. And very clear tone. Bass, because it's longer strings than the 4, which is much more common. Thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in the piano, want to talk about it, then please do email info@robertspianos.com. and tell us what you think. If you'd like to try it out for a while before you have it repolished, that's possible. There's every possibility really, and I can assure you it's an excellent piano. On the technical side we won't skimp on at all, and the polishing side, well, you can choose to have it done later if you want to spend less money.